You need just two measurements to make this gorgeous skirt, and that is just the skirt waist and the skirt length. You don't need any special calculation for the skirts. Hi creatives, Dimma here, and on today's tutorial I'll be putting you through how to make this gorgeous circle skirt that you can see on the screen. So let's get right into it. Here is my pattern paper and I need just the waist and the length to put you through the whole process of making the skirt, which is quite easy and short. Now, the first thing you are going to measure is the skirt waist measurement divided by 4, and then you mark your measurement. If it's 36, that means what you're going to measure here is going to be 9. Okay, so right here is the skirt length, which is 27. I just marked it at 2 points and I'll be using my ruler to just rule a horizontal line like this. Now the next thing to do is just to mark your waist measurement here. Mark it, that is waist measurement divided by 4, and that is what I marked at 4 different points, and then I will connect it to the first one I made earlier at the beginning of the pattern paper. Okay, now having done this, I'll just cut out this box. Okay, so when I cut it out, I'll continue with the pattern making. Now having cut it out, the next thing I'm going to do is to divide this waist measurement, quarter of my waist measurement, into 3 equal parts. Divide it and mark it like so. Okay, meaning if you have like 10 or 15, for instance, you divide by 3 and it will give you 5. What I have here is about 9. That means it's 3 3 3. Okay, so right now I am going to connect these points just as you can see me do. Connect it all through like so, and that is what we have. Now the next thing to do is just to bring our pattern, that is the fabric that we'll be using for this, and fold it the appropriate way that it should be folded. Now what I used to fold to make this is on triangle, that is biased folding. Okay, folding on triangle, folding on bias grain. Now I want to mention that you can actually use straight or cross grain to do this. Yes, you can place it on the regular fold, the regular way you fold your fabric when you want to cut something on fold, that is the straight and the cross grain. You can fold it as well and do it that way, but I just wanted to have this bias flow. That is why I used bias grain. Okay, but if you use the straight and cross grain, it will still work. The flow will be slightly different, but it will still be very beautiful. All right, so right now you can see how I slash through the slash lines and I am going ahead to spread it. Now this is how to spread. This is how I spread it, and that is it. You just go ahead and pin it down so that it does not move. But if you feel you can manage it without pinning it down, you can go ahead and do that. Now I had to pin mine down just at that first, part of the paper there, and then I will go ahead and measure the spread. So what I spread here is just 10. You can spread it more if you wish. My client does not want it to be too big. That is why I had to take 10. Okay, now this is the skirt length that I took there, and I started connecting the hemline of the skirt. You can see how I'm connecting it like so, and yes, so from fold to the first spread is 5, and the other 2 folds spread is 10 10. Okay, so having done that, I will also connect the waistline like this. So that is almost all that we need for the pattern making of the skirt, and yes, this is what I have. I'll just add about 1/4 inch by the side like this, and that will be the pocket allowance. So I'll also go ahead and cut the hem just as you can see in the video. Now this is the skirt length, which is 27 inches. Skirt length from the waistline to the length you want the skirt, but the skirt is a high waist skirt. Okay, watch where I'm putting my notches. Those are the side seam allowance and the center front of the skirt. I'll go ahead and fold this fabric on triangle again or on bias grain, and then watch closely how I am going to be placing the front pattern on this, leaving 1 inch from the fold line. Okay, you can see how I left 1 inch there because that will be the zipper allowance. I want the zipper to be at the back while the pockets will be by the 2 sides. Watch through and you will see every bit of what I did to make this gorgeous skirt. So right now I am cutting the hem, and this is what it looks like. This is beautiful. So right now this is what I have for the skirt, and I will go ahead and also put my notches where they should be. I also had to put the zipper allowance in place, and I wanted to cut it open all through, but I decided not to, so I had to just cut it a little bit here till about 11 inches. Yeah, so you will see what I'm going to do. I just put a notch there. I do not want it to have a free like opening at the center back of the zip, and you will see how I'm going to finish up that place. So right now I measured the around hand. If you get like 10, then divide it by 2. Watch how I just made this curve line, okay? And watch closely what I'm doing. You divide it by 2, and that is 5. You just add 3 inches to the 5, and that is about 8 inches. That is what that pocket end 3 should be, okay? Whatever your around hand is, divide it by 2, and then you see how I shaped that part? I just angled it out around that pocket entry from up towards the downside. Now this is the depth of the pocket that I want to do here. If your hand is about 9 inches, you just add 3, and that is 12 to give you the pocket depth. Okay, 11, 12 is fine for the depth of the pocket, and I believe you saw how I measured it. I'm just going ahead to cut the second pocket, and that is like so. So here I have 4 pieces of the pocket for the 2 sides of the skirt. Watch closely and see the next things I am going to do. Now I'll be cutting the band. Okay, if your waist measurement is 36, I folded this fabric is on fold. You just have to take 18 plus 1 or 1/4 inches for the waistline. So here I just marked 5 inches because I'm going to fold over this band. Okay, I'm going to fold over this band, so by the time I finish it, the band will give me like 2 inches. Yeah, it will be 2 inches because ½ inch will be going into the seam. Please, this is a high waist skirt. The skirt measurement, that is the skirt length, is 27, and I added 2 inches band. Now the skirt is going to be 2 inches above the waistline. That is the style of the skirt. Okay, now I also folded the lining on triangle, and I will go ahead and cut the front and the back of the lining. So here I've placed the front, and I'll go ahead and cut it out, but it will not get to the length of the skirt. Okay, when I got to about 5 inches to the hem of the skirt, I stopped. The next thing I did was to use my chalk and trace the downside of the skirt. Now this is to help me to draw where I want the skirt lining to be. Watch closely to see what I am going to do there. Okay, I had to remove the skirt right here, and I measured 5 inches up. Feel free to just measure where you want the length of your lining to get to. So but I thought 5 inches was fine for me, so I had to mark it 5 inches from the hem, and I cut through this marked point, and that is what I have for the lining. I'll go ahead and fold it again on triangle and use it to cut the back side. So here I've cut the back side and even joined the lining by the 2 sides, and of course at the back. As you can see how I finished up the back. I closed it up and then folded it like that. So this is what I have for the lining. Now I'm going to show you how you can join your skirts. So here I have the front part of the skirt. I'll open it up and then start stitching it together. So watch closely to see what I'm doing. Here I'm marking where the pocket will be, and that is 2.5 inches from that waistline. And I also marked the pocket entry to be about 8 inches. Yeah, I marked about 6.5 inches to 7 inches. That's what I marked there. The opening, the pocket entry. Okay, where I'll be stitching in the pocket. So I will use the same to notch where it will be landing at the back skirt pattern as well. So when I'm done with this, I'll just go ahead and watch closely what I'm doing. I'm just trying to use the notch at the downside to get the midpoint of this. Now this is the zipper allowance. I'm just marking about 9 inches from the beginning of that pattern, and from there I'm going to stitch down. See how I'm going to stitch following that chalk mark. That's why I did not open it up all through, because I don't want this opening to get to the downside. And this is also a perfect way to do your flare. It's beautiful. Try it and you will like it. Okay, so here I've stitched that line. The next thing to do is to open up this back, place the front on it. Following the notches, I am going to stitch from the beginning to where I notched. Okay, see, I'm going to stop here and then start here again and stitch to the hem and leave that entry, pocket entry, open for my pocket. So I'll do the same thing for the opposite side as well. Here I have stitched it down and you can see the pocket entry. I'm just trimming the thread I used to serge the skirt. Okay, the excess thread coming out. So this is the same pocket entry. I will go ahead and be putting the pockets. So right now I'll be working on the pockets. I've serged this part of the pocket because this is the time I have to do that. After now, it will not be very easy to serge that part of the pocket. I'll just stitch around it. Watch where I put it right sides together and stitched it, and of course serged it. And this is what I have. I will go ahead and put it to the skirt. Okay, so right now I'll bring the skirt and then place this pocket like this. I'll place it like this and then stitch it down. I'll pin it like this and stitch it down. I'll also hold it at the other part and also stitch it down. Pay close attention and you'll understand everything I'm doing. Now this is how I'm going to pin it and then stitch it down. Now I'll do the same thing for the opposite side. I'll pin it in place and stitch it down. So right here I have stitched it down and the pocket is in place. So see how I stitched it. You can see how beautiful it's looking. If you turn it inside out, the pocket is ready. You can even put your hand inside, and yeah. So having done this, the next thing I'm going to be working on, you can see I've serged that tip. I'll just hem it with 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is actually the best to hem a circle skirt. You don't need to use up to half or 1 or that. 1/4 is the perfect length. So here, the perfect measurement for hemming your. So this is the interfacing I'll be using for the band, for hemming your circle skirt. Yeah, so you can see the interfacing. I've applied it and this is what I have already. I'll go ahead and use this. I'll go ahead and stitch this to the waistline of the skirt. I'm here just trimming the excess interfacing coming out. So the next thing is just to notch the middle of this band, just as you can see me do, and I'll bring out my skirt, open it up, and of course place it like this and stitch it down. So that is it for the skirt. I stitch it down and this is what I have at this point. You can see the zipper, I've also stitched it in, just as you can see. Is now remaining the lining. Okay, I've fixed the band and I've fixed the zipper. Is now the lining. Watch closely to see how I am going to fix the lining to the skirt. So I notched the middle of the lining and I will be matching it with the middle part of the skirt. This is how I'm going to place it. Okay, so that the band will be between the lining and the fabric. That is how I'm going to place it, so that when I finish sewing, it's going to cover this rough edge. It's not really rough, but the waistline is going to cover where the band joins with the fabric. And this is what it is like when I was done sewing. So I had to place it inside out, and this is what it looks like. This is what the inside looks like, and you can see how beautiful and neat is looking, and this is what the outside looks like. So I'll put it on the mannequin or the dress form, and this is what it is like. Are you going to try this? Let me know what your result is. Thanks guys for watching. Thank you for always stopping by to watch my videos. I appreciate you all and I love you all. Bye, and I'll see you in my next one.